Hello everybody and welcome to David's Kitchen. Today is Saturday, April 25th. It's a bit of a milestone day in that the last time that I traveled on an airplane was February 25th. So it's been 60 days, 2 months since I've been on a plane. For those of you that know me, I love to travel. I travel a lot for work. I travel a lot for pleasure. And, having, 2 months go by with not being on a plane has got me a little bit stir crazy in terms of thinking about, being safe indoors for this long of time and not necessarily knowing when indeed the end is in sight. That being said, I am going to do another episode of Pans of the Pandemic, bringing us some comfort food, things that kind of bring back memories of happy times, and I think we could all use some of those. So today I'm going to actually use your basic cookie pan, sheet pan. Make note, this is about 12 by 17, so think about that when you think about the size that you need to use. And I'm going to make what's called a crumb fruit cake. My mom made this all the time. Everybody loved it. It's just a real, almost butter cookie cake with some fruit filling and confectioner's sugar on top, and people just love it. It's easy to make and it makes a lot. The first thing that you need to do, and I would suggest you get a pen and paper out because I'm going to give you the recipe and you're going to want to write this one down, trust me, is you need a pound of butter. So it's 4 sticks of butter, very, very soft, so it is nice and pliable with your spatula. To that, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of sugar and then 3 eggs, one at a time. And then in addition to that, a teaspoon of vanilla with a little secret that I'm going to share with you, a extract called Fiori di Sicilia. It's a flower of Sicily oil extract. It's very, very strong. So I use this little eyedropper when I use it, and I'm putting in 3 drops into here, about 3 drops, because it will give it a really, really strong flavor, but it's so citrusy and delicious. And people will eat whatever it is that you baked and be like, gosh, what's that taste? And they don't realize what it is. So it's a little secret I'm sharing with you, Fiori di Sicilia. Then to our butter, sugar, egg, and vanilla mixture, we will add 6 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. In here, I also have 3 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we'll mix all that together and then gradually put it in here. I'll show you in the KitchenAid. And then we're gonna take half the batter and line the cookie tray with it. Then you need 2 cans of fruit filling, or pie filling and fruit in a can. My 2 favorite flavors are blueberry and cherry. You could use other flavors. Pineapple's really good, peaches, apple, whatever you like. But my favorite has always been blueberry and cherry. And we'll start making this and put it together and show you how it turns out. All right, so I feel like the Food Network over here. I'm trying out different camera angles so you can actually see what's going on inside my KitchenAid and also see a little bit of me. I think you're seeing a lot of my bald head, but pay attention to what's going on in the pan. So we're going to turn on the KitchenAid and just kind of cream the butter a little bit. And to that, we are now going to slowly add our sugar, 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. And what happens is when you put the sugar into this butter and you beat it in kind of a medium speed on the KitchenAid, what happens is the little granules of sugar go through the butter and create air, which helps when you're baking something create a nice airy texture to whatever it is that you're baking. So you can see this is pretty much just very quickly mixed in. Then I have my 3 eggs. One thing that's really important when you're baking, even when you're used to baking all the time, never, ever, ever crack the eggs into your pan, because inevitably you're going to get eggshell in there one time and then you're not going to be able to find it, and then someone's going to get a piece of eggshell when they eat whatever you made, and that's not going to be a good thing. So slowly add 1 egg at a time. You can see how this is quickly blending in. Add the 3rd egg. And last but not least, I'm going to add the vanilla with our little secret, Fiori di, I want to say Italia, Fiori di Sicilia. It's amazing. Oh my God, I can smell it already. I wish you could smell it. Now what I'm going to do is add the flour, baking powder, and salt. As you can see, it's all together here, and just kind of stir it with a fork for a minute, just to kind of blend everything. And what will happen is I'll clean down the bowl here, add this, and show you how it makes a dough. It's going to be very firm, and then we'll form it. As you see, this is becoming a very thick dough, and it's almost like a cookie dough, but that's fine. And you don't want to mix it too much. Just make sure it's mixed all well together. Lift this up. Make sure your hands are washed and clean, which mine are. They always are when I'm cooking. Because this particular recipe, you will use your hands a lot, because you need to actually press this dough into the pan with your hands. There's just literally no way to get around doing that. I've tried using cooking gloves before. It becomes a little bit challenging to do. I'm not used to it. So then I think, well, you know what? My grandmother, my mother, my aunts, my family, they've cooked all their lives and never used gloves. So I think that we'll be okay. Just know that I did wash my hands, just in case. Okay, I'm going to show you how I put this into the pan. Okay, we're back. Now, let me show you what this dough looks like. Like I said, it should be like a cookie dough. And as you can see, it's almost like Play-Doh. It doesn't stick to your hands, and it's just really nice and soft and very buttery. So what we will do is measure out about a little bit more than half of this. So I'm going to take a little bit more than half, and this clump of dough I'll start putting in the big pieces out here. And what I eventually will end up doing is taking all this dough, which is about half of all the dough that's in there, and I will definitely flatten this out, create some edges, just keep flattening it out. As you can see, as you get to the edges here, use your finger and just start making a little side crust. And I'll lay us all out, then we'll add the fruit filling and the topping, and you'll see how it gets put together. All right, so you can see I got this dough pretty much evened and flattened out. If you want to use the bottom of a glass, you can do that. Some people have like a little mini rolling pin. I typically just eyeball it, and you can kind of see that it is nice and flat and ready for the filling. So the next part is we're going to put in our filling. Once again, it's half cherry and half blueberry. So I will just pour this in. Make sure you get all of the extra filling that's in there. It's awesome. We're going to end up spreading it around. I'm just going to do a rough spread first, and then I'm going to put the blueberry in and spread that. Notice I'm kind of making a very specific line here that becomes intentional because you like to have half cherry and half blueberry. But my favorite piece has always been the one in the middle, and I'll show you how that works. You kind of get two flavors in one after this whole thing's done. So, put the blueberry filling in. End up spreading all that out. You can see we're getting the edges together. All right, now that we have this all spread and evened out, you can see I kind of distributed the cherries a little bit so that everybody can get a little bit of a taste of a cherry. Word of caution, these canned fruit filling cherries tend to sometimes have hidden pits inside of them, so full disclosure, be careful that you don't bite into a pit. I have many relatives that have new dental work as a result of chewing into a piece of this crumb fruit cake and end up breaking a tooth or chipping a crown. Not fun. All right, so this is the amount of dough we have left. It's about just a little bit less than half. And what you do is you just kind of drop these little tiny flakes of dough all over, and that will create a topping. Remember, this is very buttery. There was a lot of baking powder in this and the eggs will enable it to expand as it cooks. So as you're seeing this now, it's going to look like a lot of polka dots. When it cooks, it actually kind of closes together on the top. Make sure that you take a little bit and you purposely go around the edges with little bits of this, as you can see here, to help make the end pieces for the crust. I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing this. I just kind of make sure that you pretty much get it evenly distributed, and you'll see as you get towards the end there'll be some bare spots that you will simply fill in before you put it into the oven. I'm just about finished here putting the little bits of dough, just looking for any little open spaces that I need to make sure I cover up. This is probably the original cookie dough because as a kid, my mom would always do the edges and I would always be in the kitchen helping her or doing something, and me and my brother as kids, we would always love to help put the crumbs on top, and she would always let us do that, and then she would yell at us when we did this. I could hear her now, David! But anyway, it is absolutely delicious. This has got to be the world's first cookie dough flavor. This is done. It's ready to go into the oven. Let's see how this will all spread out as it bakes. Oh my God, that dough is so delicious and buttery. I could eat the whole pan. Normally, in a regular conventional oven, we would cook this at 350 for about 40 minutes to 50 minutes. You've got to watch it. You want to make sure you put it in the middle of the oven, not too low, because you don't want the bottom to burn. I'm going to use my convection oven. I have the temperature at 425, and I'm setting it on the middle rack. And I'm keep an eye on this for the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. All right, so this is almost ready to come out of the oven. Oh, what's that sound? My favorite sound to hear in the kitchen. The timer is over. I will shut that off, and let's take a look. Let me get my oven glove. I really love this. It's a glove that's an oven mitt. So let's see. And it looks perfect. So I'm going to try to show you what this looks like. This particular type of dessert, you can't test with a toothpick, because think of it as almost like a cookie cake dough, and you can't test it with a toothpick. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. You have to just go by, I guess, color and trial and error. I've made it so many times, I know exactly what it should look like. So you can see it's a little bit tanner around the edges and a nice golden brown on top. It smells really great. Now, the biggest challenge with making Mama Marcella's crumb fruitcake is that you have to wait an entire day to eat it. This will now sit and cool. I love this cooling rack. It's actually a couple of inches off the ground, about 6 inches. You can see it kind of picks up like this. What this does is it really allows the air to circulate around the pan, and this cake will actually sit overnight. It tastes really good after it's settled a little bit, and then we'll cut it into squares and I'll show you how we. Well, good morning, everybody. It is now Sunday morning, and the moment we've all been waiting for. It is time for me to finalize baking our blueberry and cherry crumb fruitcake. So first thing we need to do is bam, 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 bunch of powdered sugar on here. Powdered sugar just is very festive. It's interesting how just a little bit of powdered sugar, or a lot, however you want to consider that, makes such a big difference in terms of how something looks. If you don't have one of these powdered sugar canisters, you can always just use a little mesh strainer and tap, 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 like a lot of us have done in the past. Did you do? So you see we have this here. Now basically you're going to cut it up like you're cutting up a big sheet of brownies. And one of the things that my mother always did is put them in little individual paper cupcake tins, which really gives them a festive look. And I'm going to show you another one here. Just look at that. Really unbelievably delicious, buttery, almost shortbread with filling. For whatever reason, I don't know, but the corner pieces, we always save for ourselves. So maybe because it didn't look as good as the rest. So I'm definitely going to try this one. Oh my God, it's heaven. I could almost eat this entire pan. I kid you not. This crumb fruitcake just really evokes so many fond memories. My mother made this all the time. As I mentioned, as a kid, putting little pieces of dough on top. It's probably some of the roots that ended up me being here today as doing videos for David's Kitchen. It is definitely the comforting warmth and love that we're all looking for right now in these challenging times during the pandemic. If you feel this is too much, you're not going to make it. It's only me. It's only somebody else. You know what? Do what we do. I'm going to cut this up, put it on little plates, and bring them to my neighbors. The look on their face when I bring them something like this is what gives me joy. And I think we all need a little bit of that. So, make it. If you don't want to eat it all, then give it to your friends or your neighbors. I'm telling you, you will make someone's day. I hope I made your day, and thank you for watching. Have a great one. Ciao.